First, I want to thank you guys for being here. And I want to wish baseball a lot of luck on the upcoming weekend. I think it's really, first of all, it's so cold here. To be able to get somewhere warm and to play ball is a pretty cool thing. And I can't say enough about how much work's been done for both softball and baseball here at Kentucky over the past few years. So it's really a good time to be here, and it's really exciting. And you can see it because this weekend we opened up 5-0, and a lot of times that's a tough order when you don't get outside a lot. But as a lot of you guys know, we had a lot of new facilities went up last year. We have an amazing stadium. We have amazing indoor, and you can see the fruit of that labor. Offensively, we were pretty good this weekend, and I think a lot of that can be attributed to the support we get from the athletic department and from the Big Blue Nation, so we're able to build things so that our girls can compete.
Questions?
Jenny was talking about the depth of this year's team that she's pretty impressed by. You talked about that?
Yeah, actually, I was incredibly impressed by that. If you really went into the play-by-play of all the games, for example, when we played Oklahoma and beat them, they got their runs from 1, 2, and 3 of their order, and we got our runs from 7, 8, and 9 in our order, which is pretty cool. And the top of our order did produce, but just to be so strong top to bottom is a lot of reasons we won pretty convincingly this weekend. At no point were we out of it. It didn't matter who was up, and we had a lot of key contributions from a ton of people, and that's a good thing, because in order for us to go where we want to go, you're going to need to be strong.
Coach, what about your pitching? You talked about depth. You seem to have some extra depth of pitching.
Oh, yeah, we do. You know, it was pretty cool because in our 5 games, we had 4 different pitchers have complete games, and I don't know if we're the only school in the country that would do that, but I would bet if you looked it up, we would be the only school in the country that had 4 pitchers be able to do that. And all of them had great outings. I mean, Nunley came back with the highest ERA, but she had the toughest game to pitch. She threw a ton of pitches against Oklahoma. But Cumbus and Long Beach is a very good team. They've been to postseason a lot. She only had to pitch 66 pitches to beat them, which was pretty cool. And then to have 2 freshmen come out and do so well in their first weekend really says a lot about our recruiting classes that we've been able to win and just how good they are at this point in their career.
How do you envision handling the pitching staff going forward? Is it just sort of a...
I have no idea. That's a good question. It's a good problem to have because they're all very different. Shannon's a power pitcher, more similar to someone like a Chanda Bell that we had in the past, so you look to someone like her for big power numbers. Cumbus really is a smart ball player. She knows how to pitch, and she's really efficient with all of her pitches. Megan Prince is probably the feistiest person I've ever met. So she's really cool to put into some key situations just to go at someone, and she's left-handed. And then, excuse me. And then you have Kelsey, who obviously was our ace last year, and she won 27 games as a freshman. She was the top freshman in the country from that standpoint. So it's hard to say. I think we're going to match them up against the teams we're playing, and offensively, try to attack. Use our strength to attack the other team's weaknesses. So that's kind of a day-to-day thing, but it really is a nice problem to have.
What do you see from your team maybe in terms of reacting to success the first week? And they obviously had high expectations going in.
Yeah, our team has a lot of high expectations. I mean, they're they want to go to the World Series. We've been in Supers 2 out of the last 3 years. We've been to postseason 5 years in a row. And so for our program, the next step is the World Series. So they love to play ball, so it's really exciting for them to be out there. That was a huge criteria when I picked them, that they love to play softball. They love to be on the field, and they're all winners. They all won before they got to Kentucky, and they're continuing that tradition here. And I think as much as they had a really good weekend, they're very focused on the end goal. And being in the SEC, I mean, we're going to have so many big games ahead of us. So I think they're taking it in stride. But they are really happy that they were able to get some good games under their belt and to win. I think that's a really exciting thing for them.
Talk about making the College World Series. What's the key to making that next step to the program?
The key, obviously, it starts in the circle. You have to have good pitching, but I think for us, the major goal this year is to really amp up our offense. And I think you saw a little bit of that this weekend. Our power numbers were up. We hit the most home runs, I think, at this point in school history. I mean, our doubles were good, and we got that contribution from a lot of different people. So our main focus is to be able to have more production offensively, both in power numbers and just the ability to create against some of these dominant pitchers that we're going to face in the SEC.
You mentioned those 2 freshman pitchers, but as solid contributions from your hitters as well, that are freshmen. And just talk about the group in general.
Well, we only have 3 freshmen, so one of them's left-handed, thankfully, so she'll be able to hopefully step in where Alice O'Brien left off. She had a great senior year, so Breanne Ray is going to be a big contributor for us, just to be able to give us that left-handed presence along with Emily Gaines. But the bulk of our team now are sophomores and seniors, so it's a really interesting mix. Joyner's the lone junior who's out there playing right now, so we've got great leadership from the top who understand the program and understand what big games are all about. And the sophomore class is really feisty, and they're very, very talented, and we had a ton of contributions from them. So we're actually a good mix of young and old, which I really enjoy, not only for the current, team, but also for the future.
You mentioned Emily Gaines. What do you see? What's her role this year? What do you expect?
Well, Emily, she probably has one of the hardest jobs on our team, because Emily's job, she's been trained to come off of the bench and go in there and get a pinch hit when we need it, and because we don't have a lot of lefties, it's really important. So we try to pick the exact moment where the pitcher is either struggling against left-handed hitting, or we just really need that hit behind a runner or something. So she has a really, really tough job, but she's so steady. When she was in high school, I think she had a 54-game hitting streak or something. So she is the perfect person for the job. It's not an easy job, but it's going to be crucial moving forward.
Rachel, we talked to some of your kids about what they should be doing with those memories of how far they got last year, and I know they can't be looking back, but how they use that experience. How do you hope they're using it? Put it behind you, or?
No, I think when they left the ball field last year, I think at first it was pretty exciting that we got to Supers, considering we were starting so many freshmen. But once we got there and we ended up losing to Arizona State, I think, well, nobody was disappointed in the season. I don't think that anybody was satisfied ending, and I think that's a good thing. That's where you want your team at. So I think that that experience that they had then gave them a good focus for this year, and you can see it. We're really strong now. They've done a great job with our strength and conditioning coach. They've been very dedicated throughout the year. We're healthy, knock on wood. I mean, there's just so many positives. Hitting, they made it a priority to really get in that hitting building and hit extra on their own while keeping their grades up. So that's a good thing. And then, so you can see that I think, if anything, because they were so close, it gave them that extra fire. They knew that if they just did a little bit more, that they have a real shot of going to the World Series.
You mentioned before you've gotten within that one game twice now.
Mm-hmm.
Does that one game become kind of your white whale or whatever there? How it's tough to get there, I know.
Not really. I don't think I've done it enough. There's things that I wish I personally, as a coach, would have done a little bit differently in those games, and I think that'll help us moving forward. But it's not. I think you got to do it like 5 or 6 times to really mess it up to be a white whale. So I don't know. Hopefully, I won't get to that point. But no, I don't really think about that. I think more about all the different things that I need the team to be able to do by the end of the year, so that we can get past hopefully get to Supers. First, we've got to get to the postseason. We have to have the 500 record. We have to do well in the SEC. And then if we can get those things, to Supers, and then hopefully through a tough regional. We would like to host here, which means we need to win a lot of games way before we get to that point.
Anything else? All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks.
Just a note, Griffin Joyner was just named the Player of the Week by the SEC.
Yeah, good job, Griff.
All right, guys, now we'll have the baseball student-athlete portion of the news conference up here. Just like we did with softball, we'll have them spread out. Guys, if you all want to come on up here.